Lewis.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, you have a question for the IT?
Well, I could bring it up in the new business part of the meeting. I can wait.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, you're good to go.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here, and we're glad you could be with us. Take the time. We're going to have just a moment of silence. Okay. And with Charles and myself, and I hear Galen, we do have a quorum, so we can conduct business. I didn't hear back anything from Terrence. Is anyone else heard from Terrence Dix in terms of being on the call?
I have not heard from him.
Okay, because
I
I
spoke with
see
him on yesterday. He said he would be here, but
he did. Okay, well, he's probably just around the corner as we speak. Yeah.
mhm.
Okay. So our first item of business is our approving our minutes. I have reviewed those. Have you been able to review the minutes, Charles and Galen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented with any possible corrections.
Second.
Thank you. With motion and a second. No opposition. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm not certain who UU18271 is, if that's someone from the public that wanted to speak.
Hi, Denise. It's me, Udo Macon.
Oh, it's Udo Macon. Okay, all right. That's great. That's great. Okay, as far as I know, I'm not aware of any folks that were visiting today. I guess I have a question about the access of the public to this meeting. Is this Zoom address publicized on the website, on the AugustaGA.gov site?
No, ma'am. They're just viewing on YouTube.
Oh, so we're
So the meeting is,
streaming?
yes, the meeting is streaming to YouTube. And
Okay.
I handed out that link to, I can't remember who asked me to set this meeting up, but that meeting went out supposedly to the public for that. So
Okay, so that link goes out to the public.
Madam Chairman, could I ask?
Let me have him answer that question first. So that link is publicized on the website, or how does the public see it?
I'm not sure. I can't remember who had me set up this meeting. If it was, I'm
Probably
not sure.
Portia.
Probably, yeah, you're right. It was Portia. So I replied back with her, gave her that YouTube link to send out to the public.
Okay, so that's a question for Portia then. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, Portia, what's the scoop on that? We're gonna ask Portia. But let Portia respond first, Galen, okay?
Okay, but I just.
So I can have an answer to my question before we take your question? Just, thanks. Yeah, Portia?
That was included on the emails that I sent to everyone yesterday.
No, I know how we get onto the meetings, but
Right.
normally the public finds out, isn't there an announcement or there's something on the website? So if somebody wanted to come to our meetings.
That was just usually posted at the buildings.
So it's like on a flyer?
Notices, yes.
It's on a flyer.
Right.
So it's not yet published on the website. I guess that's what we're asking about. So maybe that's a combination of people that need to ask about that. I don't know if you could ask them for us, Portia, about how does the public, in other words, there's a flyer maybe, but since a lot of people don't go to the public building, we're just thinking that having something on the website is, I guess, our one suggestion anyway. Is there any way we can let the public know on the website about our meetings? So if they wanted to attend, just like they could, walk into a building, but if they wanted to attend this, is there a mechanism for us to publish this on the website? That's my question. Okay, go ahead, Galen. Go ahead.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I spoke with Carol and Ms. Edwards. I called both of them, but I ended up speaking with Carol in regards to this because
Carol, can you speak? We can't hear you real well, but if
okay,
you said Carol,
yes.
Carol,
Give me a second. I spoke with Carol about an hour before the meeting, and this was after we had went over the website, and per Carol, the way this should work. And she
is
said,
that Carol with the ADA, our
Yes.
coordinator?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And she told me that she informed Augusta IT, which is Jeff, about how this should work. First of all, when the invites are sent out, on the invites, there should be an accommodation statement on there that if someone needs accommodation for these meetings, they should request accommodation 48 hours prior to the meeting. I.e., that would be someone if they're deaf. The actual meeting itself should be, and it is not listed on the city website, just like when you go into the website, you'll see the calendar of events. Our meeting should be listed on the calendar, just like, the joint planning committee, the different committees, whatever those city committees are, they should all be listed on there and the schedule of the meetings. She also said that in this meeting that we're having right now, Mr. Lewis, is the closed captioning piece working?
No, sir, that's not an automated feature. It can be done, but somebody would actually have to type everything that's being said as it's being said.
Okay, now, according to Mrs. Burrowbridge, that is the minimal that we have to have for
So
compliance.
Galen, I'm going to suggest that we ask Ms. Burrowbridge to speak to IT instead, so she can,
Yeah, she's out, okay, well,
Act
she
on
says
our-
she's already done that.
Yeah, the feature is there. It's just the only way to do it is to actually, I could assign somebody in the meeting, the closed caption person, and they would have to type out what's being said.
And I think it's probably a lot to do right now, but going forward, yeah, we need to make sure we have that piece because that is part of the ADA compliance piece that we have to have for public meetings. But it's not only with us. There's other committees that aren't doing it either. So that's the mission that I'm on right now because we're doing most of our meetings with the city via Zoom. So we got to make sure that we're compliant. So right now, today we're not, but we know what we got to do moving forward. But yes, I'd already investigated that because that's what we do here at Walton Options.
okay, thanks. All right. Okay. So do we have some reports from, and I see Oliver Page, thank you for being there. I would love to have Oliver speak with us, I guess under new business, but do we have some reports back from folks on anything that they want to share?
Denise, this is Terrence. I'm in a meeting. I have no, I just want to let you know I'm here. As far as I know, I don't have any. If I'm standing corrected, please, somebody let me know.
Okay, thank you. Count you present. Anyone else reports back about anything that we need to know about?
Wait, Madam Chairwoman, excuse me, Terrence Dix again. I apologize.
Okay.
This is not officially, this is an unofficial aside that I have, I didn't get a chance to actually go in, but I have ridden the bus through to the new location of our new facility. It looks very good from the outside. I am planning on stopping through one of these days, but unfortunately my schedule is not allowing me to. But if you don't mind, I look forward to doing that soon, and I hope to have an update for you at our next meeting. Okay.
Great, that'd be good.
Okay, good enough. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I think we will turn it over to our city folks. Is there, was there something, no, was that Charles sneezing? I'm picking up everything here. Be careful where you are, we hear everything. Any other reports, or we're gonna ask for our city folks then. Maybe, so Udo Mekong is here. Udo Mekong, would you like to give us a report on things that are happening in your realm?
As far as things are going, it's we're currently focused on the MTP, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050. I'm pretty sure all of you have gotten a lot of public outreach initiatives about when our upcoming meetings are public review process is gonna be, and how important it is for people to just kind of place their own information on the needs that we should be focusing on in the long range future, and how valuable a lot of participation is in this process. And hopefully we get a lot of good feedback so that it goes into the report, and this can actually help spark some initiatives to actually increase or improve our transportation system. On that note, I have been working with a group. You might have heard of them. They're focused on air quality. They're called the Sierra Club. And what they want to do is they want to help improve transit, and not only transit, but also help improve air quality in Augusta, which transit helps play a key role in that, as in if the buses are in good condition and they go places people want to go, then people won't have to rely on their own personal vehicles, and they can perhaps rely on the transit to take them where they need to go if necessary. And then there's the also the campaign for rails. I don't know too much about it, but it's basically this initiative that they would like to see a light rail system in Augusta, and they would like to perhaps connect this plan with what's going on with the GDOT plan for what Atlanta wants to do. So if this turns out pretty well, Augusta could definitely have a very beneficial opportunity to become an even more prosperous city. So that's it for me.
Great, so more partners, that's wonderful, wonderful to hear. Let's see, just, Mr. Mack, are you there did you want to give us an update? Anything going on?
Just wanted to let everybody know, if you don't already know, that we've moved into the new facility, and we're still transitioning a lot of equipment and things from the old facility, but we're primarily operating out of the new facility. So we've just been really busy with, all the things with the moving and things that aren't working, are working, and getting familiar with all the new equipment and all the new different gadgets and stuff around here. So we've been busy with that.
Excellent, so you're there. This is your new space that you're in right now?
Yes.
Okay,
One of the
excellent.
meeting rooms right now. We're meeting.
All right.
We're viewing this Zoom from one of the meeting rooms right now. We've been here since July 13th was the first day that we ran full service from the new facility.
So this is our first official. All right. Well, congratulations on your new space, you guys. I hope you can, that means you get to spread out and have the space you want. Okay, and I see Oliver there. Hey, let's see, was there anyone else from the city that wanted to make a report on any progress or updates for us?
Yes.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Is it?
Go
Okay.
ahead, Portia. Uh-huh.
3 statements that I wanted to make. The contract with RapDev has been approved for another 2 years. We have placed an order for 17 trash cans, and we have a bus that comes out here to the new facility about 15 times a day. It comes approximately every 40 minutes from 7:50 a.m. until 5:10 p.m. And Sharon also wanted me to mention that, we have moved into the new facility. So that was everything from.
Okay. She didn't give you any new numbers on shelters that I
No.
know she had put in an approval, put in another bunch for approval, but
No,
okay, just
just
waiting
for
on that.
For the shelters.
Okay,
I have a question for
sure.
Portia. Based on and for Mr. Mack, based on the movement of the headquarters now from Fenwick Street to the Gordon Highway, people that used to go to Fenwick Street for information, where do they go now?
They have to come here to the new facility.
Now, when they go to the old facility, how would they know? You see, because it's a bit of a distance from the old to the new. So if you're taking the bus to Fenwick Street and you get there and then you say, well, they've moved, you then have to go back to the bus station, get a bus all the way to Gordon Highway to find out some information. So I'm just wondering, how have you been informing the customers that you have moved? You've just told us, but has the official announcement will be later on that you have moved, or has it already been issued?
The official one haven't been released yet.
Okay.
But and to answer that question, so we thought to put things on the door for people who would show up to the Fenwick office, but the gate is closed, so they can't even get to it. And so,
Yeah.
Madam Chairwoman,
with being able to effectively get that information out to them, and I don't think we've remedied that yet.
There's
Madam
a
Chairwoman.
gate? Okay, I'm sorry, is that Terrence? Uh-huh.
Yes, it's Terrence. I'm sorry, I'm by phone, so excuse me, I won't be able to send you a signal. Having been the person who has actually ridden, I have, in order to leave my home every day, I do have to move through the actual new site on the new route, going out to Gordon Highway. What I would probably recommend, Madam Chairwoman, from this advisory board, that we request that that a written announcement be put at the new at the excuse me, at the transfer site, that it be posted prominently down there. That's number one. And then number two, with the electronic announcements that we receive on the bus, that it be broadcast that way, if that's possible, for an electronic announcement to let people know that that change has been made. I don't know how difficult that would be, but that would be very helpful. And then that way people would know that we're not just making the route longer for them, for the Gordon Highway route, because a lot of people don't know that that's the new place. We had one bus driver who said at one time, "Oh, this is the new place." But the other drivers don't say anything really. They just ride through there, Yeah.
So maybe I'm hearing a suggestion about flyers posted on the buses and at
No, at the transfer station.
I'll suggest on the buses then, if you don't. I'll suggest on
that
the
too.
buses.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
at the transfer stations and perhaps even on the bus and even on the neon communication board, if that's possible, to help orient people. Like I think Oliver was suggesting that we could avoid some confusion if we make those suggestions.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair,
but we got the public address. We got the public address system that for the hearing impaired, for the sight impaired, we got that public address system. And if we could probably alter that to say the same thing about the new facility, yeah.
So do any of those suggestions, you've got those, Mr. Mack? Is that something you would have to follow up on, or should we share that with Sharon? Or
I think that would be a shared
shared responsibility.
between myself and Sharon. on
Okay, thank
how this is
you.
done.
Madam Chairman,
I don't want to commit to
Much
something and be stepping on Sharon's toes. This is ultimately she's responsible for transit. So I think those are excellent ideas. I don't see why at least the flyers on the bus shouldn't be able to be done. The announcement on the bus may be a little more challenging, but could possibly be done. Also, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that has to take place, a lot of programming that has to take place for it to actually be announced on the bus. But I think that's an excellent idea. And and what was the other one? The flyer on the bus, the announcement on the
And the
bus,
flyers at the transfer stations,
and the flyer at
especially.
the transfer station. I can actually,
Yeah.
That's actually a great idea also. So I could probably put something like that up at the transfer station today to let
Okay.
everybody know.
Thank you.
It wasn't
Madam
really,
Chairman, you hear me?
it wasn't a huge concern at the time because it's not a whole lot of activity that's going to the main office throughout the day. So, but for those ones who actually come, it would be convenient that we could make a better effort to reaching it and letting them know where we are.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chairman, can you hear me?
And I think that was Charles.
Yes, ma'am. What about using the PSAs through our local mediums, TV, radio, just to make those announcements throughout the day? It's free, so if we could put that out, and they can just part of the get it out information.
And I think that Mr. Mack said the formal announcement hadn't been made yet, but when they do a formal announcement, I'm imagining that the local television station.
Mr. Mack, is that the case? Are you guys going to use the PSAs?
I'm not sure what Sharon's vision is, that she does have a vision of a grand opening and having a big spill about the new facility. So I don't want to do too much to kind of step on or ruin that. So she does have plans. But in the meantime, I think it wouldn't hurt if there was something at the transfer facility just to let passengers and people who may come to the main facility, let them know that we've moved.
Right,
Thank you.
that's the idea I'm thinking about for the ones that are actually catching that bus every day. Yeah, before that message come out, we can make an effort to inform everybody.
Exactly.
Madam
Yes.
Chairman,
Thanks for that question, Oliver. I'm sorry. I heard a voice.
yes, this is Galen.
Galen,
One
okay.
other suggestion, and this is probably the most, this is make sure that we're making sure that the word get out. The website, city website, once she's decided they're gonna announce it, just like our meetings need to be on that website, on the calendar piece, this piece could go on there as on the website. That way is it accessible for all mediums, because some folk don't ride the bus, some folk ain't gonna be able to read the signs even with their own signs. So I just think putting it on the website would probably be, if not the most optimum way of getting the word out, it would certainly go a long way to getting it out there as well. I think we need to make sure that we utilize the city website for all things as it relates to TSAC.
Yeah, I feel sure that's part of her campaign to let the public know what's going on.
Right. Keep in mind, we just moved in not too long ago. There's boxes everywhere. There's still a lot of stuff that's disoriented and not necessarily organized. We don't necessarily want to cause an avalanche of people to come that don't necessarily have to be here because we're still in the process of moving in. So again, I don't want to do anything too extreme and put Sharon in a bad place, because I'm sure she already has this stuff mapped out of how she's going to notify everybody and how she's going to introduce them.
We'll wait for the grand opening. Those were just suggestions of, I think in the future today we don't have a lot of people on the call, but if we do have delegations, that one of the ways it helps the person who's leading the meeting is if you say Stack. Like if I say Denise Stack, then that lets me know that Denise wants to be the next one to speak. So I just thought I'd mention that next time we might have more people. I see Oliver, yes, and I have a question, a big one for you. Yes.
I'm involved in the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Planning Update. In fact, I'm actually the project manager. But what I have been doing, I have every meeting that we have, I do generate a press release and send it to all the media. some of the news media, they have community notice boards, which are free, that you can post your event. A lot of people when they're sort of figuring out what to do in the evening, they go to the internet and they go to the community calendars, and it lists out day by day what events are happening in town. That's one way you could get the word out about these meetings. I'm not sure, Portia, just like when we have a CAC meeting, a technical coordinating committee meeting, we have to advertise it in the paper, newspaper. It's a requirement that we allow the public to know of this meeting, because the meeting is accessible to the public. So I'm not sure as to how Augusta Transit does it when it comes to meetings of the Transit Coordinating Citizens Advisory Committee, because that would allow people to get to know about this committee, and that they can, their voice can be heard. You see, so, you know, possibly flyers could be placed at the transit station to alert people that even if you can't attend, you can email your concerns and we can get back to you. So that could sort of help to get the word out about these meetings of the Transit Citizens Advisory Committee.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I have a question about the, well, let's see. Is there any old business that we need to touch on? I think we've mentioned the shelters. They're in process. That would have been under old
The
business.
shelter that was at the corner of Telfair and 8th has been removed. Maybe you
By
weren't
the
aware.
library? The one by the library?
There was a shelter there that was placed in front of something of cultural value, and it was slightly lopsided.
Oh,
It's on the southern side of the. There's a brick building with, I think it's green or blue wooden framework. There was a bus stop place. There. This is the bus stop going north to the bus station. There was
You mean to the library? Was it the one near the library?
Yes.
well, he
but
said
across
8th. That's 9th. The library would be 9th.
Okay, 9th Street, corner of Telfair and 9th Street. There was a bus stop that was
Yeah.
placed in front of a.
I know what you're talking about. Has that been removed?
Yes. The reason why it
Okay.
was removed, that is of artistic and cultural historical value. And where the bus stop was placed, there was no way for a wheelchair to get around the bus stop, because the bus stop took the
Yeah,
whole
that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And plus it was also crooked as well.
Yes.
So it's been removed. There were some complaints. Miss Dottery is aware there were some complaints because of the historical and cultural aspect of that building. It wasn't the bus. There was a clash. The bus stop was modern, and this building has some historical value. So that was because when I first saw it, I said to myself, well, no one can walk around this bus stop because it's taking up the complete. You'd have to walk into the street.
Right.
And
Okay.
That's right.
that's not good.
Who would we talk to about that?
It's done. What he's saying is it's been handled. It's been removed.
Okay.
It was improperly placed in a space
Yep.
that wasn't the best space for it to be placed. So
But we still want a shelter down there.
yes, but they need
Oh
to
yes,
rethink.
Miss Dottery is working on that. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I do remember
Thank you.
sending a picture actually of that. Yep. Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, I do have an issue for Stack, Madam Chairwoman.
Go ahead. You're next, Terrence.
Okay, we do have there is something that I did want to bring before the committee. I think we had talked about the hazard pay for the drivers. Would that be an old
That's old business,
Oh,
right?
Okay, then,
Right.
if there are no objections, I did find the letter that we were given by Mr. Mack. And if I could, it's a very brief document, Madam Chairwoman. If I could please read that into the record,
Okay.
I would certainly appreciate this. Okay.
Sure.
And it is dated. It is from Mr. Cornell Mack, dated Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020, 11:57 a.m. Subject COVID-19 in public transit to Denise Traynor. And I quote, "Hello, Denise." And the heading is hazard pay. We have provided the city a contract amendment which will permit capital RATP DEV to pay transit employees hazard pay. We are now waiting on the approval of the commission. If approved, we will retro pay the hazard pay for the first pay period after approval. And the second paragraph is masks, gloves, and disinfectant. Again, RAPT and DEV is responsible for PPE. We struggled finding masks, but now have an ample supply of masks. We have been providing gloves and disinfecting the buses twice a day ever since the declared state of emergency. We also have an ample supply of gloves, disinfectant, and expect to continue to provide PPE for all employees. Signed, Cornell Mack, General Manager. And I just wanted to read that into the record because we did discuss the issue of hazard pay, and we certainly appreciate how quickly Mr. Mack did do a turnaround to respond to us. But going forward, it doesn't go into the situation with the drivers and what we, had wanted to, and that, I think that was our main concern. I know the city employees have been taken care of, but our concern is how would the drivers be covered under that? And Mr. Mack did tell us about that, but I know we had asked, wasn't there a document where that was brought up? So I just wanted to say that was the COVID-19 public transit response that we did get from the department. So thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for allowing me to put that into the record.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that before we move on? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. This is Galen.
Go ahead, Galen.
I just wanted to reiterate again to Mr. Mack that, we don't want to let that go, because I was doing a little bit more research on that as well. And whereas our drivers aren't, or our contractors aren't necessarily city employees, they are providing a city service. And I was going to get into it a little bit more in the new business piece, because I was wondering how are we surviving right now, because we don't charge anybody to ride. So I'm curious as to how is that being funded? Is that funded through grants or whatever? Because if we're able to continue to provide all these free rides for folk, and all the contentiousness and all of the troubles that our drivers are having to deal with, because we're riding all these people who are riding the buses all day long, drinking, sleeping, cussing.
So your question is, how are we
Yeah.
sustaining now? And if I'm not sure.
Can I finish my question, please? Please. Yes, ma'am. That was part of the question. The question was, okay, if that is the case, then I think, Mr. Mack, we need to redouble our efforts, because there has to, whereas they're not city employees, they're providing a city service. And if we got money laying around where we can afford to drive people around for 4 and 5 months for free, then we certainly should need to redouble our efforts, us along with Mr. Mack, to make sure to see what we can do about that, because there's a way around that.
Okay. can we let someone respond to your question, Galen? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something, Mr. Mack, you would be able to respond to?
In part because fares is a revenue for the city. That's not a revenue for RATP Dev. And so they have, the city has the resources from the federal government to compensate for that, for the safety that's involved with, you know, not taking up fares. So that same funding would have been used for hazard pay to give to RATP Dev to pass through to the operators. But the mechanism that needed to be in place for them to pass that through was not established. Therefore, the hazard pay couldn't be paid. So it's not a matter of that there's not any funding. It's just that based on the situation, the mechanism that needs to be in place for that money to pass through to be paid, it's not in place. So that's why the hazard pay wasn't paid.
So can I ask to clarify, the CARE Act is, I believe, the grant that gave the city some monies to help at this time. So is that the monies that you're saying is able to help them, even though they're not able to collect revenue, you know, from passengers?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Go ahead. One
So
question, and then we have someone else that wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Galen.
Okay, yes, it's piggybacking off what Mr. Mack said. So, Mr. Mack, what mechanism is it that would need to be in place so that, is that something that the local commission has to do, or is that a mechanism that would have already had been in place prior to this taking place?
Right, it had to be in place prior to it taking place, since they've already paid hazard pay for that time frame, and we're looking to be retro paid for that time frame. The mechanism would have had to be in place before that time frame.
Okay, thanks, man.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. We had Oliver, I think, was next, and then Charles.
Just for clarification, have the bus drivers, because they're contractors, have they received any hazard pay at all?
No, they have not.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm not sort of, I don't want to overstep. I just didn't know because, you know, the city employees have, and then it stopped. But
Right.
of course, the buses have been running since when this COVID-19 was announced in March. And we're now coming into August, and they have not been, I wouldn't expect those drivers to be very happy.
They're not.
Okay, I think Charles was next.
I'm
Yes,
not
Madam
happy.
Chairman.
Yes.
During these unprecedented times, the bus system continued to run. Now, there are folks in the transit system that did receive additional pay.
Oh.
If the bus system is what hits the ground and basically is the very essence of transit, and the people who drive the buses don't get a raise, then what happens when they go on a strike? You know, because during these unprecedented times, and to say that a mechanism that's undescribed, some procedure that is heretofore never existed, that's just simply not a good enough answer. So we need to request some kind of in writing while the folks who are driving the buses have not got that raise.
Amen.
So,
Now,
yeah, go ahead, Mr. Mack.
just for clarification, we weren't talking about raises because they are getting a raise. We're talking
Well,
about
the money, the additional funding, if I misquoted, but if we talking about additional funding, whatever that funding source is.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because you
Okay.
said raise, so that's a whole.
I appreciate that. I did. And
Zach.
that
So
clarification.
I would like to just take the privilege of leadership for a minute to ask, I think some of these issues have to do with contracts and how contracts are written and what the city agrees to with a group that they contract with. If that's the case, if that's what we're talking about, maybe we can clarify that. Is that what we're talking about, Mr. Matt?
Right, so the CARES Act is it's been allocated to the city. So RATP Dev is not the city. So in order for, they have guidelines that they have to follow to be able to use the funding that they have. They can't just spend it on whatever they want to spend it on. And so there needed to be an amended contract in place before hazard pay was paid initially, if they were going to pay the RATP dev the hazard pay. And the commission would have to vote and approve that. So the commission didn't approve it because of the legal counsel that they received, that they weren't able to use the funding for that. So then it didn't happen.
Okay.
Stack, Madam Chairwoman.
Is that Terrence? Was that Terrence?
Yes, this is Terrence.
Okay.
This is Terrence. Yes, ma'am.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to be very brief about this. Madam Chairwoman, to go back to what Charles Cummings said, these are unprecedented times. We understand that was an oversight, that because who knew we were going to have a pandemic? Okay. Having said that, the city is not powerless, nor is it broke. Okay, so saying that there is no mechanism, that's not going to cut it. What we need to do, I think, is incumbent upon this advisory committee to, for the good of public safety and for the good of just relations between the drivers, riders, and everybody involved, that we either get with both the legal arm of the city, our legal counsel, and find out what we can do to rectify this. Okay, so we can make an intelligent advisory action and or get with the mayor of this and have him to at least bring it before the city and put that on his docket to make sure that we're able to do this, because I think it is just patently unfair, and also it's going to come back to bite the city at some point, that we didn't take care of these people who are on the front line of the pandemic. That's really going to come back to bite us. And so I think once we've done all we can do, and I feel like we haven't done all we can do at this point, we've made the inquiries, but we haven't really taken an action. I think that those are the two things we probably need to look at, if we could.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else before we move on? So to clarify, Terrence, you're suggesting a letter from our group to the mayor's office and the commissioners on behalf of the drivers.
And our legal counsel, and our legal counsel, yes, ma'am.
And to the legal counsel. Okay.
And
So we
city
can-
administrator.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, whoever. Yep.
Well, yeah, when it goes to, yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, that'll be on our to-do list.
Can I, for clarity, is the letter going to invite them to our meeting? Is that what you're saying, Terrence?
No,
No,
I'm asking that they take an action towards doing the
Do their due diligence.
rectifying the situation for the driver. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good. I just.
We're requesting, we're recommending that a proper request be made
Yes.
to pay our drivers hazard pay retroactively, however you got to do it, because they were on the front line doing the work.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, I didn't want to add another step in
Thanks.
there. Yes, okay, good.
Okay.
thanks for that clarification.
I have a question.
Yes, Oliver?
This is for Cornell Mack.
Thank you.
Have Rap Dev put in a claim for their workers during this time to be considered by the city? Because it seems that we are trying to do the work that Rap Dev, because the drivers are contractors to Rap Dev. So have Rap Dev, they must operate in other American cities facing the same situation that we're facing here in Augusta. Don't they put in an extra, an amendment to the contract that, our drivers are work servicing your city buses. Hazard pay is required, and this is how much it's going to cost. Haven't they done, or do they do things like that?
Well, so like we were discussing earlier, nobody anticipated a pandemic. Hazard pay
Yes.
wasn't a discussion at all. So then, yes, an amendment to the contract was presented, but that's what we're talking about. That was not approved.
Okay.
So yeah, we made that attempt to amend the contract so that it could be passed through, the funding could be passed through to the drivers, but that wasn't approved.
Stack, and this is my final one, Madam Chairwoman.
Go ahead.
If we could please include the original request in there as well, Madam Chairwoman, in any communication we send for this recommendation, please, if we could, and with the dollar figure included, please, yeah. So they'll know what we're making reference to. Because this also comes under an act of God, okay? Yeah. A pandemic is an act of God, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that Terrence is asking us to include the request that Mr. Mack's company had made to the commission, that request to have an amendment.
Yeah.
You want that included in this letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe that's something
There should be
we
a
could talk
special
about.
waiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mack.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Page.
I have another question for Mr. Mack. Listening to what's just been said, will that make a difference, since you have said you've already tried to submit an amendment to the contract,
that's what I was
which
gonna
was declined? Now, if this committee submits a letter, why would the city?
It's a gesture.
mind.
It's a gesture of
Goodwill.
support for our
Yeah.
drivers.
Yes,
That's
I
what it
understand.
is. It
So-
would be.
What could the committee do that will strengthen your case?
I think just having the conversation is about the only thing that if we just keep having the conversation and we keep doing things to have the conversation, that together some solution will come forth. Right now, we just haven't reached that solution.
Have you, since you're part of a big organization, have you tried to find out what other RATP dev are doing in other cities that are facing the same thing that we have faced? They had to amend their contracts, submit it for the city to consider. So I'm sure some have been successful, some have been unsuccessful, as in the case here.
Right. So then that's because those lines of communications and conversations were clearer, or they were less obstructed, and other solutions were made. But in this particular case, things have to be done through a director who has to go through commission.
Yes.
To approve it. So there's a lot of more. There's more channels here than there would be in other properties. So just.
Yep.
So I'm hearing that possibly if you were working with a city where the city administrator had a different role, the city administrator might make those decisions and the commissioners would not be a part of that. Is that accurate?
No, it'd just be a different contract with a different government makeup that will be different from
Okay.
Augusta. Everybody's makeup is different. So if anybody else if it was a different city that was constructed the way this one is, it'd be the same process and we'd be having the same problem.
Okay, thank
What's
you.
that word, Denise, that you want us to use? Stack?
Stack, or if you just say your name, because I just wanted to make sure I'm calling on the person.
Okay, this is Galen.
Some of the spaces don't have faces.
Oh, I got a face. This question is also for Mr. Mack. So Mr. Mack, I'm listening to you talking, and I know emotion doesn't drive things, but my question to you is this: at this particular point in time, if we weren't bringing up this topic, what was your plan going forward as it relates to trying to procure that back pay, or had you basically decided that it was a done deal? What was your
No,
mindset?
the RATP Dev has presented another option that's being considered, but it's not something that I feel is it should be discussed right now because it's in the beginning stages of it. But we haven't stopped. The union for the drivers haven't stopped. So there are still things that are being done, and you guys are having a conversation. So at some point, all of this stuff is going to come to a center, and then whatever the solution is going to come out of us all pressing to get to it, it's going to be a solution. We just don't know how it's going to happen. At some point, hazard pay is going to happen.
So you are in support of us doing what we're doing right now, though?
Yeah.
Remember, Galen, they were the
This is being
ones,
talked about from 3 different directions, from RATP Dev.
Mhm.
This is being talked about from the actual drivers union. Actually, I just had a meeting with them yesterday, and they have a plan and they have some things that they're going to present, and then we're again talking about it with this committee. So it's not something, although it's not being publicized widely, it's a conversation that's been continuously being had behind the scenes.
Okay. And the only reason I
yeah,
asked
we're
you
glad
this,
to hear that, and we look forward to future. We only have about 10 more minutes left, so I really did want to ask Mr. Page, but thank you, Mr. Mack, for answering those questions for us. About the 2050 plan that we're reading over. First of all, I want to say it is a work of wonder. I mean, it's incredible. I love the way it's organized.
Can you submit that comment through the web page?
I will. I absolutely will.
It's very, very important.
I absolutely will. I think it's organized. I think it is. I'm really impressed with the data and how the data is presented. Helps me understand what's changing in our communities. But my question is, what can you tell us about the plan that was made in 2040 and some of the differences that you have to consider now that maybe weren't in that plan? And I don't know, you probably didn't do that plan.
No, I was.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, because you've been here and
Now,
there. So
the Metropolitan Transportation Plan is updated every 5 years, once every 5 years. And so some of the things that were in the 2040 plans that were proposed, some have started, some have not. So what the 2050 plan does is looking at those proposals that were recommended in the 2040 plan and put those to the public to see, are these proposals that have not yet been completed, are they priorities for the community in 2020? And that's why you see, when you compare the 2040 plan and the 2050 plan, the priorities, there have been some slight changes in how the priorities have been weighted. In the 2050 plan, the bicycle, active transportation, sidewalks, and transit have a greater weight than in the 2040 plan. So when the projects are ranked, those projects that incorporate transit benefits, those projects that incorporate bicycle benefits are higher ranked than those projects that are simply widening a road or making new roads. So there are some slight differences between the 2040 plan and the 2050 plan. That's why you see we had to go back to the communities and for them to let us know, do you still want to have the same priorities in ranking and rating transportation projects we did 5 years ago in 2020? The answer is no. We want more weight on walking, pedestrian access, bicycles, and transit, and less weight on road widening or making new roads. Does that answer your question?
yes. And I have another one that I was reading something about pavement quality.
Yes.
And I guess that really, stuck home because I hear so many folks with, if it's not our folks in we were talking about power chairs and wheelchairs. That consideration is that when they talk about pavement quality, we're not talking about the roads, are we?
Yes,
We're not
no,
just
we're not-
talking
we're not
about
talking
roads, are
about
we also
sidewalk.
talking about sidewalks?
No, pavement quality is to do with the road pavements. We're not speaking about sidewalks.
Ah, okay.
But in the 2050 plan, they have some lump sums, some pots of money which are to be used for sidewalk improvements, for transit improvements. There haven't, in some cases, specific transit projects have not been identified. They have allocated a lump sum of money, and as those projects are identified, those projects can be funded from monies that have been set aside. The same goes for sidewalks. The same goes for multi-use trails. You see, so that's what's new about this 2050 plan. There are some lump sums, some pots of money that have been incorporated into the plan that can be used over the next 5 years to fund transit projects, to fund sidewalk projects, to fund multi-use trails, as those projects are identified and proposed.
Thank you. Yes, everyone, please go to that. I think I sent it around, but that
Yes,
Future Mobility 2050.
futuremobility20.com, and give us your comments, especially if you like the document, what you don't like about the document but transit is a very important part of the document. And what we learned is that people in Columbia County are also asking for transit service.
What?
Oh, that was included. Oh, one other, the environmental justice piece.
Yes.
I was curious, how did, I'm not, maybe I've missed it, maybe I haven't seen it yet, but how did you engage the folks in the areas that we would consider environmental justice issues, areas?
Mr. Adomokong has spoken to a number of those groups. For example, he has addressed the Richmond County Neighborhood Association Alliance meetings.
Yes.
We did a lot of advertising in these communities, and this time we went out to the people rather than expect the people to come to the municipal building for meetings. So Adomokong and myself, we spoke at Age Friendly Augusta. Adomokong also, he attended a number of senior citizens meetings around Richmond County, where he presented the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So we have tried to do a much better job of reaching these communities that are classified as disadvantaged.
And I was really glad to see that still mentioned age friendly, even though, our commissioner is no longer there that was spearheading that, but it was nice to see that in the document and have you include them.
Please write those down.
I promise.
Online. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chairwoman. Yeah, Madam Chairwoman, I want to ask a question, and that is, what is the last day, Doctor, for the period of
Tuesday
of making a comment?
Tuesday, August the 4th, 11:59 p.m. There's still 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Tuesday,
Okay,
August
gotcha.
the 4th. And any comment, any concern is going to be addressed. If you give us the contact information, you will receive a written response. And there is still time to make some tweaks to the plan to accommodate your concerns, your commendation.
Yeah. And I think everybody on this board should make a comment of some description. Yeah.
Oh, yes. You should have an email with that link on there. So I absolutely.
Yeah. And I have it, and I'll be making mine. And so I'm just asking everybody, if you get that link, please fill it out so we can support Dr. Page with that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Unless there's a last minute comment, we're wrapping up, and I want to thank everyone.
Actually, Madam Chairwoman, I do have one thing. It's a public safety issue, and I hope Mr. Mack and company is still on the phone. Galen, I know you wanted to bring it up, but you know, we had a lot of stuff to discuss here. But
Yeah, get to it.
um, just real quickly, I just want to say that because of the y'all's generosity in letting people ride, there are a lot of people. I've been noticing this. I've been talking to drivers about it and everything, and a lot of people are kind of using that to just hang out on the buses and also at some of our shelters that ordinarily, that are, for lack of a better term, probably homeless or jobless right now. And it's creating a lot of tension on the bus. And there's also excess drinking and eating and profanity. And we got very young kids on the buses and stuff like that. And so I don't know if from a public safety standpoint, we can request that people only have a certain amount of trips, free trips on the bus. And I'm sure we have that rule, but I don't know it as being enforced. But if we could, I'd really appreciate that, because social distancing just is not possible either. But I think that our drivers know who's been riding and how much and all of that. And also maybe the sheriff's department could, post somebody either at the main terminal and maybe someplace large like the Gordon Highway terminal, because they're giving the drivers a really hard time. In fact, I heard one guy just totally go off on one of our bus drivers with the manager standing there. I mean, he just went off and threatened her and said all kinds of horrible things about her. And I just think there's a lot of tension, and whatever we can do to cut down on that, we need to. Please, I'm just sending it to you because I've witnessed it myself. And I've also seen this on several occasions now. And because of the heat and because of the pandemic and all this, whatever we can do, I'm hoping we'll be able to do that. So.
And I think I'm going to ask us to take that up at the next meeting, only because I think we do need to leave on time. So our folks that are working.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I appreciate it.
I need to check out, but I think if we could take that up at the next meeting to see what solutions, and certainly send an email to Mr. Mack if you have other examples, other folks of issues related to that. Let him know
Mr. Mack and Sharon. Yeah.
No, I'm saying if other members on this call have examples or concerns, like yourself, Terrence, you're all invited to send an email to Mr. Mack to inform him about what you're seeing and what you're actually observing, because that's the only way he can act, is when he's got more data and more information from real life situations. So we thank you. I thank everyone for being here with us, and look forward to next month, and we'll stay in touch, and we're going to fill out our surveys, Mr. Page.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take
Thank you,
care,
everyone.
everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.